You were designed to speak truth in love, to show up fully, and to walk in boldness and grace. Hello, welcome back to Amazing by Design, the podcast where faith driven women rise above limitations and step boldly into their God created greatness. If this is your first time joining us, you are welcomed in this space. I'm Lucy Ann, your host and the founder of Living Beyond Limitations Coaching, a program that helps women turn limitations into faith-fueled strategies so they can live divinely aligned and enjoy a life of peace, grounded in purpose. This podcast is a safe haven for honest, heart-centered conversations. Let's be real. Walking in faith in a world clouded by confusion and compromise isn't always easy. Even within the church culture, we face the same internal battles. But in that space, often our struggles are left unspoken. Consequently, we learn to shrink back. We hide and we silence our voice when what we really want is to speak up, to talk about the struggles within community and uncover what's true. I believe that's why you keep coming back to this podcast, because here we don't shrink back. We lean in. We explore how our faith intersects with real life in our relationships, our purpose, our mindset, and our personal growth. Right now, it's time to settle in. Around here, we like to grab our coffee, or if you're like me, a cup of hot cinnamon spice tea. Can you smell the aroma? It smells great where I'm at. Imagine we're sitting together at my kitchen table. It's cozy, it's safe, and it's a sacred place. Today, we're unpacking a conversation that hits close to home. We're discussing avoidance. Yes, that habit of avoidance that shows up when we're faced with hard conversations. You know the ones I'm referring to. It's when you choose not to rock the boat, where you listen when fear whispers that you will be misunderstood, or that you might hurt someone's feelings, or you will lose a friendship, or heaven forbid, you would be labeled as anything other than sweet and cooperative. I get it. The struggle is real. Those moments feel easier to avoid than to face head on. But avoidance isn't a divine strategy. It quietly restricts your growth. It strains your relationships. And it dims the impact that you were created to make in the world. In this episode, we're talking about the hidden cost of avoidance and how embracing honesty and transparency can actually lead to freedom, to deeper connection, and to the life you were divinely designed to live. Let me take a moment and share a story that will bring this into focus for us. It's a story that might sound all too familiar, so listen in. I want to introduce you to Sally, although this isn't her real name. Sally is a woman I had the privilege of coaching, a bright, thoughtful person who, like many of us, had mastered the art of staying quiet when things got uncomfortable. Her go-to strategy was avoidance. Whenever tension surfaced in her relationships or her workplace, Sally would retreat. She'd sidestep the hard conversations, hoping that her silence would keep the peace. On the outside, Sally was everything people admired. She was polite, considerate, loving, and endlessly accommodating. But inside, her voice was buried. Her spirit felt small, and her relationships, though seemingly calm, they lacked the depth she craved. Sally didn't avoid hard conversations because she lacked wisdom or compassion. She was incredibly bright and deeply sensitive. She avoided the deep conversations because she feared what being honest might cost her. She worried that speaking up would unravel the very harmony she worked so hard to maintain. Side note here, this is what often happens when we rely on our own control instead of standing on truth. When we build something apart from God's leading, we then become responsible for holding it all together. And that kind of maintenance is nothing short of exhausting. Okay, back to Sally's story. In fear, she defaulted to silence. She wore what I call a relational disguise. Here's what I mean by relational disguise. It's the outward appearance we carefully curate to preserve peace, even at the expense of what we know to be true and helpful. Sally had mastered this, yet no one around her knew she wasn't being true to herself. After all, she was admired, respected, and liked, but she wasn't known. And that's the thing we as women long for people to know us for who we truly are. One day, Sally woke up to this reality. She felt as though she could no longer live behind the mask. She desperately wanted to stop being what she thought everyone else wanted her to be, but she didn't know how to show up authentically. After all, she had trained herself to be on guard in all conversations. One day, she reached out to me for help. The first discovery she made was this: her avoidance strategy wasn't protecting her, it wasn't keeping the peace, it was actually imprisoning her. She wasn't created to be agreeable, she was created to be authentic. Every time a situation felt emotionally charged or controversial, she chose to blend in. This caused the internal struggle because she wasn't created to blend in. She was called to be set apart. Deciding to blend in will always suffocate who you were designed to be. Through a time of reflection and intentional coaching, she realized that approaching difficult conversations with the same approach, avoidance, appeasing, and shrinking, wasn't getting her the life she truly desired. Instead, it was quietly limiting her life. It was in that moment she decided it was time to make a shift. We took time to explore what she really wanted in relationships. She shared that she longed for joy and deep connection and the freedom to live boldly and authentically. She wanted to be a part of a team that actually wanted to make a difference in the world and not simply please the status quo. So she made a decision. She chose to stop using avoidance as her default strategy and started showing up as her highest, greatest self. Now, was that easy? No, it took work. But neither was it easy living behind a mask that was hiding her amazing God-given design. That one decision led her to uncover a new path, one rooted in courage, clarity, and compassion. Here's how her new strategy began to take shape. She chose honesty over people pleasing. She identified what truly mattered to her. She faced her fears intentionally. She began to challenge the lies she'd been believing. And she was determined to practice showing up authentically, even when it felt uncomfortable. She learned how to navigate hard conversations with grace. She accepted that not everyone would be happy with her choices, and she gave room for others to disagree without internalizing that to mean rejection. She honored others without compromising her own values. Now, these weren't just steps, they were transformational strategies implemented with intention, and they changed everything about her relationships. Using these new skills, Sally became a master at navigating difficult conversations. She was able to impact relationships both personally and professionally with confidence. In the process, she learned that self-love and self-care required her to show up in all of her awesomeness every day, even in the hard places. Now, Sally lives in freedom. Fear's lost its grip on her. And you too can live in your created greatness, set free from the limitations that are holding you back from being your authentic self. Showing up every day as the woman God created you to be will always lead to internal freedom, no matter how difficult things seem to be. So now, I want to pause here for a moment. Maybe you're listening right now and thinking, that's me. I could relate to Sally's story. Maybe you've been using avoidance as a strategy, not because you're weak, but because fear has convinced you that silence is safer. But I want to remind you, avoidance is not a divine strategy. It may feel protective in the moment, but what if your silence is costing you more than you realize? What if it is quietly restricting your growth, harming your relationships, and dismantling your impact? You were designed to live in freedom, not bound by fear. If today's discussion sounds like an episode from your own life story, I'm going to ask you a hard question. Are you ready to ditch the strategy of avoidance and step into your created greatness? If so, here are a few coaching insights that you can begin practicing today, just like Sally did. Reach out for support. You don't have to navigate this alone. Let someone know you are struggling with having hard conversations. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Choose honesty over people pleasing. Ask yourself, what truth am I avoiding? And more importantly, why? Clarify what matters most. When you know your values, it becomes easier to speak from a place of conviction. Name your fears. Ask God to reveal the fears that are causing you to shrink. Write them down. Face them. Allow the light of God's love to disempower them. Challenge the lies. What have you been believing that isn't aligned with God's truth about you or the situation at hand? Practice showing up as your highest, greatest self. Start small. Speak up, one conversation at a time. Do it even if your voice is shaky. Let disagreement be okay. Someone else's discomfort doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Honor others without hiding yourself. You can be kind and truthful at the same time. These aren't just tips, they're transformational strategies. And when you begin to live them out, you'll notice something shift. Your confidence will grow, your relationships will deepen, and your life will begin to reflect the freedom you were created to live in. You were designed to speak truth in love, to show up fully, and to walk in boldness and grace. These are skills you can learn. The people you're in relationship with deserve to see the real you. And the world at large needs your authentic voice. So here's your invitation. Take time and reflect on where avoidance is showing up in your life. Be honest with yourself about this. Choose one conversation you've been avoiding and make a plan to approach it with love and clarity. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to step out and take action. Transformation doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with the willingness to change. When Sally decided to stop hiding, she altered the trajectory of all of her relationships forevermore. The same can be true for you. All it takes is a decision to stop hiding, a decision to start showing up as the highest version of your created design, and a decision to trust yourself. God will do the rest. He will meet you even in that place of discomfort. He is able to lead you into deep connection with others. If this episode spoke to you, don't let it end here. Go ahead, make the decision to move from avoidance to freedom. And if your heart is stirring for more, go ahead and book a coaching call with me. You'll find the link in the show notes, and together we'll create strategies that help you live boldly, love deeply, and lead with purpose. Share this episode with a friend who's been shrinking back. Go ahead and hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Until next time, keep showing up, keep speaking truth, and keep living beyond limitations. Because you, my friend, are chosen. You are loved. You are amazing by design.